I'm William Playford, the inventor of 9Barista, and today I'm going to show you how to use the machine. What you're going to need is the coffee machine itself, the heat transfer plate. Optionally, you can also use a dosing ring and a WDT tool, and a tamper. You'll also need a pair of scales with a 0.1 gram resolution and a decent grinder that's configured for espresso. You'll also need some really high quality freshly roasted coffee beans. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to dismantle the machine. So the first step is to remove the portafilter. So we can do that by untwisting these two parts. Out comes the portafilter. Then we're going to unscrew the boiler and you just twist that off. Next step is to fill the boiler with water. And you fill the boiler up to the fill level. There's a mark on the inside of the machine that shows you where, and you don't want to go beyond that line. And we've used filtered water here. So now we're going to take the group head, which is this part of the machine, and screw it into the boiler. Screw it all the way up until the gap at the top is gone, and that creates a seal to stop the water coming out. That's when it's fully tightened. Okay, so today we're using a gas cooker, so because of that we need to use the heat transfer plate, which is this device that comes with the machine, and that's necessary when you're using a gas cooker. So we can put the plate over the gas ring and then place the base of the machine in the centre. Okay, the machine's ready to go. Now we need to prepare the coffee. We can take the portafilter, remove the basket cap, and we're going to weigh out 20 grams of beans. So we can zero our scales and then grab some coffee and put in 20 grams. It's important to be accurate with this step. The more accurate you are, the more consistent the outcome will be. Okay, so we've got our 20 grams of coffee. I'm going to put that in the grinder. Okay, so the coffee is all ground through now, so what we need to do is get the grounds into the basket. We can, with the help of the dosing ring, get that in more easily. So the dosing ring can sit on top, and then we can just tap the grounds straight in like so. Okay, so the next step here is to make sure we're getting the ground coffee really level inside the basket, and that's really important because it helps the extraction happen evenly. So we can give it a shake side to side, and if we have one, we can use the WDT tool just to break up any clumps. Okay, last little shake side to side. And then we can use the tamper to compress the grounds. I want to press with about 5 kilograms of force. The key thing is really to get it level rather than to push hard. That's the grounds in, and then the last step is to put the basket cap on top of the grounds to keep them in place. That's in, and then we can lock the portafilter on top of the machine. So you start with the handles opposite one another, and then lock to 90 degrees. So that's ready to go. So we can turn the gas cooker on to full power. At this point we want to start a timer, and we want to make sure that the machine is taking between 3 and 6 minutes to produce the coffee. Okay, so we're at about 3.5 minutes now, and you can hear that the steam is starting to come out of the chimney. We've got a boiling sound that's starting to hear. And that's because the machine's got up to temperature and it's about to start producing a coffee. And here we go, the espresso's just come out. So in this stage, the extraction stage, we want to make sure that the coffee is taking about 25 to 30 seconds to come through. That's when you've got your grinder setting about right. If you find that the coffee is coming out too fast, as in less than 25 seconds, then you want to grind the coffee a little bit finer. And if you find that the coffee is coming out too slow, more than 30 seconds, then you want to grind the coffee a bit coarser. Towards the end of the extraction, you get a little increase in the rate of steam, and then it quietens down a little bit, as it's doing now, and that's when the coffee's finished. You can also tell it's finished because the level of the coffee stops rising. So at this point, it's really important to turn the cooker off so that we don't overheat the machine, and also to pour the coffee out straight away. Lovely. Okay, so we've made our coffee and now it's time to clean the machine up. So we can do that over at the sink. We're going to clean up the machine now. First step is to remove the portafilter. Unlock that. You want this over the sink so that any hot water that comes out goes in the sink. So the machine's quite hot, we've had it on the cooker, so the first step is to cool it down. So we can use the tap just to rinse in the group head and cool the boiler down. So once the boiler is cold enough to touch, you can then release the vacuum in the boiler by levering that valve. And you hear a little hiss when that happens. You can then unscrew the boiler. And put these two parts to the side. Next step is to clean the portafilter, so we can take the basket cap out and then knock the spent coffee into a knock pot. Then give the whole lot a rinse. And that's it. Practice makes perfect, so don't worry if you don't get it right the first time, but enjoy your 9Barista.